And that's how you test yourself for a concussion. What's going on, everybody? This is the Cover Band Confidential podcast, the podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and suck less in Atlanta, Georgia. I am Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
That story's just going to have to stay on the pre-show.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Well, how's it going, Dan?
You know, not bad. I had a couple of shows. Did a karaoke show at a new venue for that on Thursday. I'll unpack that a little bit in a minute. And then a really fun afternoon solo acoustic at Big Pound this afternoon. So I'm, post-show tired at the moment, but yeah, it was really fun. Tried out some new stuff. It's good.
Well, this week I have been solo dadding, and that's been my main priority. I did get to go see the Ninja Turtles movie, which is really good.
Cool.
By the way.
Yeah.
If you have kids, and you know what, you don't have to kids. It's good. If you liked Ninja Turtles as a kid, you'll really like it. The thing I appreciated the most is they had like literal teenagers voicing the characters.
Nice.
And so it actually felt super believable. You know, it wasn't like, hey, that's Corey Feldman,
right,
like it was in the original movie.
Right.
But yeah, we haven't done a lot of prep work. We got, hopefully, if everybody is available this week, we have Guitar Boys on Wednesday. So we're going to come over to the house and hang out for a bit and work through some stuff. I don't know if I told you this, but I did end up finding a place to drop the QSC off to get one of the tops serviced. And I walked in and the guy was like, he's like, won't power on? I was like, no, power on, but it won't pass signal. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, because that's what happened. And he grabbed it and like plugged it, and he was like literally gobsmacked. He's like, I cannot tell you how rare this is. Like, this is not a thing. Put
it up on
I don't know.
Amazing.
Yeah. I should have gone
Unique.
and bought a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I think I need to check up with them later this week to see how things are going. But other than that, I've got a bunch of people asking about live band karaoke. I feel like I've got 4 inquiries, and I feel like 3 of them are from the same person, even though I've literally replied back to them already. I don't know what that's all about.
Hey, here's a thing that's happening at my house. Have you seen the Barbie movie?
I have not. It's a very sore subject in my house, but I'll just go ahead and say no.
Okay. Well, there is in it a cover of the song Push by Matchbox 20.
I do know about that.
All right. That song has been in. The word high doesn't quite cover it when I say high rotation. It's on some level, it's been the only thing that my child has listened to for the last couple of weeks. And
Interesting.
It's brilliant because it so pushes into the quirks of Rob Thomas's delivery. And also, when you see the movie eventually, which you have, you're a human, so you're going to. It also plays with this moment of character development for Ken. And it's really good, but it's in the version of it from the movie is stuck in my head, and we're in the moment where that seems like it'll probably be permanent, that my head will just always be singing that song forever now. Yep. And that's my life. Anyway, there's a lot going on in that cover that's way beyond even just a good cover of it. It's really pretty good.
Well, it's Ryan Gosling like digging really into the affectation.
Right.
And the thing that I keep seeing is because, again, on the social medias, there's the whole concept of like women having to deal with men playing guitar for them and them having to pretend like they're into it or not.
Right. No,
and
there's a whole scene about that. There's a whole scene about
Yeah.
that. And yeah, Barbie, can I play guitar at you for 3 hours while looking deeply into your eyes? Sure, Ken. Like it's like this moment that I've been that Ken. Actually, it's not great.
The other part of it is the idea that children didn't know that was a cover.
Right.
They thought that it was very much the same as like the "I'm Just Ken" song.
Right.
That they wrote the song for the movie,
for the show. Yeah.
And as offended as I was, I then had to do the math and realize that Push came out almost 30 years ago.
Right. And the way that they used that particular song, which is about an abusive relationship, to depict like Ken is. You just got to see the movie. And
I know. Amber went and saw it without me. She did a thing with work, and so I haven't had a chance to see it. And like I said, it's a sore subject.
Yeah.
But we won't dwell on that.
Yeah. It's just last thing to say about it is that there's been some resistance to that movie politically in some corners, and I just really wish that people would get that, the message of this movie is that the patriarchy sucks for everybody, including Ken. Ken's a victim of it just as much as anybody else. And, it's good. It's really good. People should see it.
I've read some stuff around that as well that has nothing to do with the Barbie movie. So
yeah, no, it's
they didn't invent any of those concepts.
No, but it's depicted in a way that's pretty darn great. I wish that they'd given
deeper.
Some of the story a little more breathing room. Some of the character arcs seem a little rushed. If it had maybe 20 more minutes to breathe, it would have been a better film. But I liked it.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
My son watched The Dark Knight.
Yes.
He just turned 13. And so like the PG-13 threshold, that's like all we've done is it's all movies.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Movie Band Confidential podcast. We're just going to again.
But only if it has a cover song in it.
Last week it was sci-fi, aliens having podcasts. Right. This week, movies is the show within the show.
We're ruthlessly topical. That's really what there is to it.
Yes, which is what everybody clearly wants to hear.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that people want to hear, let's shift gears. Let's go to reviews. Yeah. It's review time. This one came in this week, and it is one from user Moribimur. Don't know how to pronounce that, but it's a 5-star review, and it says, essential listening for bands. The title says it all. If you're in a band, you need to check out this podcast. This is a must listen not only for bands, but also solo performers too. Tips on booking gigs, getting better paying gigs, and generally helping solve the everyday problems of being in a band. Adam and Dan share a wealth of seasoned information on gear, and not only best practices for being in a band, but also running a successful band. There is a casual, entertaining, laid-back delivery between the two hosts that works perfectly. My favorite episodes are the coaching sessions. The hosts work with a band and help them improve their product by reviewing websites, social media, and give suggestions for improvement. After listening to the pod, I subscribe to their Patreon account, which is a great interactive community of bands from around the world at different points in their journey to build a better band. There is something there for the guys who are starting out and forming a band to others who are playing to large 1,000+ festival type gigs. Thank you, Adam and Dan. And this is from Paul Longden, which is the freshly started Red Star band.
Yeah.
But Paul's been one of our patrons for a while, and he's up in Canada, but he is an Englishman up in that area and has been just a wonderful resource to our community. And I really appreciate him going to the trouble of putting a review up on iTunes.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So if you want to hear your name or your band mentioned on the podcast, leave a review.
Yeah. I enjoy how, as an Englishman, he spelled favorite.
Favorite. With a U.
Yes.
It's great.
So classy.
No other housekeeping to speak of. I did not do the rig rundown like I said I might.
Was this
but to be fair,
week 4, 3?
Listen, last week I was not really feeling very well.
Yeah.
The amount of snot in my head, while I was able to censor myself from coughing too much, it was still pretty obvious in the sound coming out of my mouth. So this is the first week in a couple of weeks I actually feel like a human being. So maybe this will be the week.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see. Okay, so I think we're good.
Okay.
So this week's topic is one that actually came up on the Patreon Slack, and I did want to shout out one of our listeners for sending an email today about a question, and it looks like we will be covering that next week. Yeah. So Brian Gray, sit tight, because we had a bit of a conversation before the episode for this week, and I think we've got some good stuff to bring you for the next episode. So hang tight. But this one came in over the week, and Dan just wanted to kind of unpack some stuff. So why don't you get in there?
Yeah. And I think I want to do it by way of my Thursday night karaoke gig, which is a new place. I haven't ever been solo acoustic there. The band played their 1-year anniversary party back in October, and they brought in a stage. Kind of out in their parking lot, and it was super fun. It was really, really good. The band played really well, and they liked us and everything. And then it was one of the stops on booking tour that we did a couple of weeks ago, and she put me on for the karaoke. We did it Thursday, and the plan was, show how it works, see how it goes, and then consider, they would look at whether they want to bring it on weekly. I did the show. Place was moderately full. I had 2 tables that were there for me. Probably a total of 8 or 10 people in a place that holds, it's not big, probably 30, maybe 35, 40, something like that. And the space to play in was not, if I'd been solo acoustic, it would have been spacious, but with a second setup and a second mic stand, it was tight. And there's it's a very efficient use of space. So like one of the struggles was how do I put up my sign with the QR code on it that people need to scan to get into the karaoke app? Well, I
Right.
parked that kind of behind us, so people had to come sneak up and kind of get. But there was really nowhere else to do it. I'm going to have to build table cards. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to the end of the night. It was fun, and the owner sang with me, did a couple of songs.
That's fun.
Manager did a couple with me. A good time was had. And I said, "Look, did you guys get a chance to talk about bringing it on regular?" And she said, "Yeah, we're a little of two minds. You know, I'm kind of arguing with the owner about it. He thinks that he wishes that it had brought more people in, and I'm like, you know, it's a Thursday night, and there's rain all night, pretty heavy rain, and maybe it wasn't a fair shake, and we should try another night of it." That's all aside. That all happened, right? Then there was a conversation. I'm not going to call out the particular person about it, but on the Slack, there was a mention, and it wasn't the main point of the conversation, but somebody said something like, we want to deliver to the venue the value they paid for, i.e. 3 hours of music.
Yeah.
And I pushed back on it. I said, I challenge that. I'd argue the value the venue paid for is not 3 hours of music. And in fact, in the context of the conversation was like, if it's the end of the night and stuff's closing down, do you need to play out to the end of the time? If there's nobody there to play to, like, do you owe them that? So I said, first of all, the venue didn't pay you for 3 hours of music. That's not why they paid you. And if everybody's gone, your opportunity to deliver the real value you're hired for is also gone. That question came up, that was sort of the logistics of performance were being viewed as the value we provide. Just kind of raised a kind of exclamation point over my head. And I just wanted to bring it up on the pod here and say, like, you're not being paid for your performance. That's not what you were hired to do.
Interesting.
I had some people widen my narrow driveway here in my house, and they did a lot of things. They dug a ton of dirt. I mean, just a whole, probably literally a ton, maybe more probably, of dirt came out of this hill at the side of my old driveway, the way my driveway used to be. And then they poured concrete, and then they built pavers and built a retaining wall. I didn't pay those guys to lay a brick. The point of all that was not to get a wall built or dirt shoveled.
Yeah.
And if you think that you were being booked to deliver music for 3 hours, you're making that same kind of error of category, right?
Okay.
I hired those guys to make it easy to get my car in and out of the driveway. I hired those guys so I didn't have to worry every time I was pulling a car out that I was going to scrape it against the brick retaining wall on the other side or the ivy covered hill on this side. Like, I could just pull in and out of my driveway without thinking. That was the value they provided me, right? They did some things to do that were necessary to get there, but the value they provided me was peace of mind, comfort, ease, right? That was the value that I hired them for, and they delivered. I can now just whip in and out of my driveway like nothing. It's great. Similarly, right, if you think that you've been hired by a venue, by a bar, to play in the corner for 3 hours, and that's what they want out of you, you're missing an opportunity to deliver, and even like really over deliver what they really want from you.
And what would you say that is? What do they want from you?
Yeah. So what they really want from you is engagement with people who are going to buy drinks from them. They want you there to keep customers around.
So this is the customer retention / alcohol consumption business that
you are
brought up a couple
a
of
beer
times.
salesman. Well, you're playing music at a bar. You're a beer salesman. That's your job. And
I feel like you're a distraction. You are what is that thing? Where like you're a diversion.
A diversion.
They're supposed to like, oh, we got to get out of here, but there's this thing going on and it's preventing us from leaving.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So you're killing time. I like that. I'm your diversion for the evening.
That's right. I know there's laundry to do, but you're gonna hang out here and have a few more drinks. And...
You just blame me.
Yeah.
Like I'll be the fall guy.
Absolutely.
For this.
Absolutely. There was a guy at my show this afternoon who walked in with his dog. It's a dog friendly place, and had a drink and sat and watched me. Sat a couple tables back from the front, and like I saw him sing along. So he came up and asked, "Hey, do you know Blister in the Sun?" I was like, "Yeah, I know Blister in the Sun. Like, come on." And so I did Blister in the Sun, and I play it up some. I like do the getting quiet, like I really
Oh
turn
yeah,
it up,
yeah.
and then bang into the it's a maximum Blister in the Sun. He loved it. It was great, and then at some point I watched him checking out, like doing handling his tab, and he walked out with his dog, and a few minutes later came back in without his dog, and then I saw him with another drink. So it's like the dog had to go home. I don't know what that was about, but like the guy came back to stick around, and he right there I sold at least a couple extra drinks because he was enjoying what he was doing.
Yeah.
And You do that by bringing your following to their venue. That's one way to do that. You do that by engaging with the people who aren't there for you, but you are engaging, and so they stick around. In this particular case, this conversation, do I finish out the 3 hours when there's nobody here? Maybe. I don't know. That's a separate question. The thing to know is once the night's over at a bar, it's over. And you continue to play music doesn't give them any opportunity for new sales.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely like a window there, because I've definitely been in a situation where like there's 30 minutes to go, and it is kind of like, do I or don't I? And then like 20 people just roll into the bar, and then it's like this crazy wild throwdown.
Totally.
And I think it's also about the courtesy component of it, because I think that's how it was kind of positioned, where it was, do I do this or do I make the people who work there? Like, it's more of that. I think that's the way it was kind of like, was it rude to make them wait?
Yeah. I mean, to zoom out from this particular thing, that I very much, I took one line a little bit out of context of that whole conversation. That whole conversation was like, am I being a prima donna if I finish out my 3 hours when there's nobody to play to, and make the bar like wait to shut down or whatever? It's an interesting question. It's not really the one I'm answering here.
Well, it's especially interesting because, again, like taking it where it wasn't, like this was a situation where like they wanted to end early and the person was actually kind of almost being pushed out.
Right.
Right. So yes, it's amazing the journeys that we go through.
Yeah. Anyway, just it took me back to some of the early conversations we had on the podcast about what we're really there for, what we've really been hired to do. You're not hired because you have such amazing guitar chops. That's not what it is. And it's not because you know all these songs. That's not what it is. They'll hire anybody. They'd, hire a dancing monkey if it had the effect of people sticking around.
Staying power. Yeah.
That would be the thing. So I just wanted to raise that because it was a thing that I remember us being really explicit about in the early days of the podcast that maybe we haven't said out loud in a little while.
Yeah, I'd done like a video a while back where it's kind of like, you are there to be entertaining and you are there for the enjoyment of their guests and or the people that you bring. And at some point that crowd is going to taper off. And like you had said, when that moment happens, then technically your duties have been fulfilled. Because
or not, but your opportunity to fill them is limited. Over.
Fair.
Yeah. There are a lot of ways that people get wrapped around the axle about how good I need to be to gig, or how, I don't know,
I need to do X, Y, and Z before I'm ready.
Right. And I don't know, there may be some bar to clear there, but
well, I mean, there definitely is.
Yeah. All right. Sure.
I think it's lower than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
And I think the general perception of what does and doesn't work for those kinds of gigs is kind of, you can make it about you in a lot of ways and not kind of find a way to focus your energy to be productive in those kinds of gigs. I know that's something that I kind of struggle with because I'm not always great at reading a room and, trying to figure out what the next right song is or, whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I had somebody in the Slack remind me of a thing that I said that's good advice that I don't normally take, which is the idea of being the thermostat, not the thermometer in a room. Right. So, yeah, I mean, you have to just kind of come at it with the right kind of mindset and be in the right headspace to deliver that thing and not really worry about the way it makes you feel sometimes. I don't know.
One of the best acoustic gigs I ever played was with the duo. It was with me and Taylor, and I was going really great. The room was full, and people were like, it turned into like very much a listening room kind of space. It was at Pig Powder actually back before COVID, but it was really full and like attentive. People were really paying attention to us, and there was a moment where I don't even know what song we're playing, but like somehow my guitaring just fell apart. Like I just flubbed brutally. And I had a moment like the groove stopped, the song stopped in the middle of the song. And I just, on mic, I said, what the hell has happened to me here? And like the room cracked up, and it was this moment of connection that was so authentic and great. And it was in the space of a complete F up on my part. And then I felt where I was in the song, and the duration of it was like less than 10 seconds. But I think a lot of people feel like they've been hired for if you feel like you've been hired for your chops, then that puts an expectation on you of perfection that is actually detrimental to the kind of engagement you were really hired to generate.
I don't know if detrimental, but maybe counterproductive.
What? Okay.
I don't know. Detrimental seems like it's like if you try to play well, then you're ruined.
Oh,
But it may be a distraction to the thing that's more
no,
important.
of course you try to play well. No, it's kind of a given. But the fact that sometimes you blow it, spend enough time on a stage, you're going to blow it, period. But the ability to be charismatic in that moment and have that be something that is like charming and that people like relate to, I don't know, it just emerged from me in that moment. But as I look, like the stammering, stumbling mess that was the first time I got on stage, couldn't have done that. That took the kind of stage chops I've built over time. Anyway, the point is, like, you want to be clear about what you've gotten. And the thing is, being clear about what the real job is, what you really were booked to do, what the value is you're really providing, that informs a lot of decisions you're going to make in terms of the show you build, right? It's going to have you looking from whether the audience cares or not. It's going to have you discarding a lot of things that matter to you, but probably the audience doesn't care about. And it's going to have your attention on things that the audience does care about. And that's what's really important.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I probably have a hard time with is knowing when to be the focal point and when to blend and trying to figure out where. I think that's it. Honestly, for me, it's finding the time when you are done being considerate for like whatever the room is doing. And it's like, okay, it's time to like,
we're going,
turn the gas up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's the thing that I struggle with is like, when do you stop being musical wallpaper and you like turn the show up?
Right.
To me, that's the secret sauce.
Right. It was handed to me this afternoon by the guy who requested Blister in the Sun. Like that was a turning point moment in the energy of the show.
Oh yeah.
And it was great. Like I leaned into heavier stuff and faster stuff after that. And it was really good. We ought to revisit reading the room. That'd be a good conversation to have.
Yeah. Again, I feel like these are the moments where you get kind of self-introspective. You're like, maybe there's like a thing like missing, like there's some sort of like deficiency in my personality or what have you. Because that is the thing that I'm like, what do people like?
Mm.
Like I just sometimes I just don't have it.
How do I entertain humans?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it that you need? I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so today when I started, the room was full of boomers, pretty much. So I came out heavy on classic rock.
Pink Floyd is always like a good one.
Oh, I do wish you were here almost every show, acoustic show. And Can't Find My Way Home, also popular. But then a younger group came in and I started leaning toward them. And the moment I got over with them, it was Ho Hey.
Okay.
Was what got their attention finally. So that's kind of my move. Like I'm seeing the demographics in the room. I'm seeing how engaged individuals are and groups are. They're singing to each other along with me. That's a really good hint in an acoustic show anyway. And then I'm like leaning toward their demographic interest and that's kind of my approach.
You know what's really funny?
What's that?
Ho Hey's 11 years old.
I know.
So depressing.
Yeah.
Because you're like, it's like some young people came in
Well,
and I played the song from.
I say young. They were late 20s. So
yeah. But I had to like look it up. I was like, when did that song come out? Oh, geez. Just another fun reminder of time's relentless march forward.
Indeed.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, you've got to figure out whatever it is that you need to do in order to deliver the value. Because I think if you think that the value is the time, like you said, that's not right. It's the entertainment that you're providing for the patrons. That's what you're there for.
And be really clear. The venue is measuring that value in dollars.
Yep. They're looking at bar sales. They're looking at, it can be a little tricky because sometimes they want to be able to turn tables over. But on the flip side of that, if they're staying and they're buying, then, you're in the right place.
Yeah. Well, they know how much you cost. They know how much they made in a night. Those two numbers are really easy to compare. Yep. And they do. They do.
Well, and it is the thing that will get you back. And so, if you can find ways to, and again, this is another one of those things as an entertainer that you've got to be able to kind of fold into your show, which is encouraging people to patronize the venue and to take advantage of the services they provide. So it is like, hey, give it up for Heather behind the bar. She's doing a great job. Go, show your support.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or like, hey, I'm about to go take a quick break. Go refresh your drinks. We'll be back in a little bit. Like, make sure that you are driving those sales as best you can.
I said on Thursday at the place that was maybe going to turn into a weekly, I said, hey, there's some talk that maybe we'd do this weekly here. What do you guys think about that? And the room kind of,
there you go.
Yeah, you should let the bar know that while tipping generously.
Yeah, it's basically just a nonstop like marketing just trudge.
But not for yourself, marketing for the bar. You're
100%.
You're a bar employee while you're playing there.
Well, it's the everybody has to wait in order for this to be a productive partnership.
Right.
And so if they're doing well, then that is a part of the thing that they are looking at.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times musicians, their goal is to like entertain the staff. And I think there's a little bit to that you can, it's a feather in your cap, or it's a thing to look at. But ultimately, you are there to entertain the people that go there.
Yeah.
And that are paying money, because they're the ones that, determine whether you get to come back or not.
Right.
So in conclusion, know what you provide.
Yeah. And design your delivery of that.
Yep. The end.
Period.
All right, folks. So in conclusion, play stuff and get ass back.
Yeah. Do good.
Do good and don't do not good.
Exactly.
I don't know how else to put it.
You wrapped it all up.
It's going on a shirt. Don't do not good.
Don't do not good.
Love it. If you want to go ahead and pre-order your don't do not good shirts, email us, coverbandconfidential@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Just all I need is an email from you and just your size, just a
Size.
letter. We're just going to get thousands of emails that just say like MSL, just like over and over and over again. And then, we'll figure out the rest.
We'll make a spreadsheet or something.
Well, speaking of spreadsheets and things that you guys need to be keeping tabs on, is the band coaching inquiry form that we released last week. We've already gotten some people who are willing to take us up on the offer. So if you would like us to coach your band on how to not do ungood, then you can fill out that form and we can set up a coaching sesh for free.
Free.
That's the best part, is that it don't cost nothing.
That's right.
So check out the link.
Every single cent.
Absolutely. You get what you pay for.
Darn right.
And so check the show notes and do that. And if you want to support the show in any other way, you can do whatever Mike's about to tell you. I don't know what he's about to say.
Stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we let him out of the chest every week, and we start playing the jazz part, and he does the rest. Yep. So we'll just let him do it.
All right.
With that being said, I'll go ahead and call it for this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You have been listening to the Cover Band Confidential podcast for the week of September 1st.
Boy.
That's right. We're switching over. 2023.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Schulte from the worst named band in America, the Pork Tornadoes. I listen and love this show, and apparently you do too, because you made it this far. No one makes it this far, but you did, which means that you owe Adam and Dan. This podcast is free and you consume it to its fullest. It's time to pay up. Here's 3 things you need to do. A, you have to leave them a review on your podcast platform. You're already in the app. Click 5 stars right now, write some words, done. While you're there, share this episode to a fellow musician. There's a share icon on your podcast app. Text it to him and say, you need to listen to this. You need to get better. You're not a good musician. This will help you. 2, you have to follow them on your social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Go find them and follow. And D, everything I just said is free and it's the least you can do. But here's where you can really support you. Join the Patreon. This is where you can actually support this podcast that you cherish so much. A small monthly donation gets you access to the Slack channel, which is the best place to be if you're a musician who wants to take your band to the next level. You have some of the best musicians giving advice and helping you out, and it's just a great overall community. Do it. I'm serious. Do it now. Do all these things, or else the Pork Tornadoes will come to your town, book a show the same night as your band at a different bar. I'm serious. We'll do it.